Hi everyone, a warm welcome to this session on watching Serverless 360 solving critical business needs. So I would like to start off this session with an announcement about our Integrate 2019 event. Our early bird tickets are available now, and here we have an exclusive coupon for this session attendees. Please avail this and join us in Integrate 2019 to have an face-on-face interaction with the industry leaders. So this session is going to be a compilation of our customer use cases. So since I met you all the last time in a similar webinar on Bigger and Better Serverless 360, we have gone a long way after the last webinar, wherein we have added a lot of exciting and useful capabilities, and with inputs from our existing customers and the industry leaders, we have enhanced our product to address a lot of critical business needs. And this webinar is going to focus on those business needs of our customers, which has been achieved successfully using Serverless 360. So we have crafted Serverless 360 as a management and monitoring tool that would complement the Azure portal. So before we start off with the real scenarios and use cases, I would like to thank people who are all recognizing our dedicated effort by giving valuable comments about the product and the theme on the social media. So it gives us a lot of encouragement to pay more attention and come up with more valuable capabilities going forward. And we promise we would live up to their expectation more. So let us start off with the scenario one. So here I would like to consider a huge organization with a lot of business applications to manage. And in an industry, typically we would have different users needing different levels of view on the application. Say an organization head who would need an overview of all the business solutions all at one place, and an unit HR head or an unit head who would need an view on the focused set of composite applications with little more details on their entity status and so on. So here the need is addressed using Serverless 360, as we have brought in a dual view in composite application dashboard with also capability to get an immediate feedback on your resources. So let me quickly take you to the portal and show you Serverless 360 in action. So imagine this is an organization head's view. So as an organization head, I would like to have an overview of all my business applications all at one place. However, the need of an unit head would be different, wherein they would need a little more detailed view on the focused list of composite applications. So this is a card view which will give you more details on the application with the current status of your entities based on the monitors that we have created. And this is a list view wherein the head can get an overview of all the applications all at one place. And if you are interested in understanding the entities that that are encountering an error, just click on the error icon. You will land up in a screen with a list of entities, and you can get a quick access to the error they are undergoing with the details of the monitor, or which gives you this summary. So this would let you quick react to the issues that your entities go through. And the best part is we are still enhancing this capability to help organization address hierarchical composite application. So we understand in a typical organization there could be composite application groups. Say like you would need to logically group your business solutions into a collection of composite applications. So this is a new capability which is work in progress. You can expect to see an enhanced composite application dashboard with a hierarchical view in the upcoming release very soon. So here is a scenario 2. Say in my orchestration, I have a number of service bus queues. say in a simple human resource management orchestration wherein for every new employee I need to carry out a number of parallel processes as a part of my business process. So herein the number of queues are expected to increase also, and the need of this business scenario or like, so when I create an service bus queue, I would like to adhere to certain templates, say like all the queues in this orchestration is expected to have a certain time to live, or they are expected to dead letter when their timetable expires. They are expected to have a partition enabled queues. So these are certain standards I would like to define across all the entities in this organization. And so hence going forward, when I create an entity, I would like to quick create with a predefined set of properties. So that is my requirement one. And when I like to monitor them, since they are of similar properties, I would also like to monitor them on a common set of properties. And as I build this orchestration in my staging environment, I spend a lot of effort in testing and developing it. I would like to easily replicate them into an production environment. So these are my key challenges when I work on this scenario. So let us see how serverless 360 can solve this. So I'm going to consider one of my composite applications to demonstrate these capabilities. So HRM Dev is a composite app that I'm going to consider, wherein I already have the set of queues that I have created and uh, associated to this composite app. So say, imagine if I am going to create these entities only now, and my first and foremost requirement was to define a template which can be incorporated at the time of creating the entities. So here we have introduced a new capability called template, wherein you can create a template on an entity property. So here I'm creating a template for a queue where I define the maximum size of the queue and properties this queue is expected to possess. So the moment I save this template is accessible to all the composite applications within this organization. And when I want to create an entity that I would like to associate within HRM Dev, I can use the template and quick create my entity. Say I can select this apply template option, and I can select the template that I would like to apply, and I can just provide the queue path, and you can find the template has been already applied and all the properties that I have defined in the template is applied to this particular queue that I'm trying to create. So the moment I create this queue with the apply template, I have quickly created without going through much of property configuration. And this can also ensure that the organization standard is retained when I create this new entity. See, now I have a number of entities and number of queues in my orchestration, and I would like to define a common configuration for monitoring them. Say, I would like to select all my queues into an threshold monitor to check and alert me whenever there is an violation on their dead letter message count for a duration of 10 minutes of time. So I create my queues. So no longer you need to get into each and every entity and then define a configuration. You can select all your queues at a go and then get into the next tab to define a configuration common to all of them. So in these queues, if the dead letter message count is going beyond 5, I need a warning, and when it is going beyond 10, I need an error. I have set a configuration for all the selected queues and I save them. So this would reduce my effort in creating the monitoring configuration for each and every queue. And when the number of entities are more, I can select similar type of entities and I can apply a common configuration for all of them. So the next challenge we were talking about is the need to import the entities from one namespace to another. So imagine I have been working on the staging environment. I have created my entities, tested them to work fine. Now I would like to move my resources into the production environment. So I need not manually create them. It is so simple that you can import your entities from the selected staging environment to the production environment in serverless 360. All the properties that we have defined, say in case of you replicating your topic subscription, even the rules that you have defined within them will get automatically replicated in your target environment. So this capability can save a lot of development and testing effort. So now the entities have been imported successfully. So now let us look into the scenario 3. So herein we have thousands of client devices across the world streaming telemetry data to an event hub. The need here is to have an eye on the incoming events to ensure all the devices are active. So here my monitoring requirements can be further explained as I would like to monitor the partitions in my event hubs. I would like to monitor whether a specified number of incoming messages are received within a specific duration. And even here, when I construct my staging environment, I would like to replicate them as such into my production environment. So let us see how Serverless 360 can help us do this. So I'm going to consider one of my composite applications, which is CRM staging, to demonstrate this capability. So here I have my data processor event hub, which is of focus now, and we are going to check how I can use Serverless 360 in achieving our challenges. So let us see how I can monitor my partitions first. Say event hub partition can be monitored either using a status monitor or using a threshold monitor. And the choice can be made based on our business requirement. Say when you would like to get a notification only in case of violation, that too when it persists for a certain duration, then your choice should be a threshold monitor. If you need an regular health update of your partition's health, then you should choose an status monitor. So within an threshold or a status monitor, an event hub partition can be monitored for properties like size of the partition, outgoing bytes per second, and incoming bytes per second. We can set an warning and error threshold values for these properties and configure an threshold or a status monitor. And say if my requirement is to check whether the event hub's client connection is fine, then my choice should be an data monitor. A data monitor can be scheduled to run at various frequencies like 15 minutes to 1 day, and these frequencies are in line with our Azure frequency to provide you the most accurate result. And to a data monitor, you can associate one or more event hubs that participate in your business orchestration, and they can be monitored on certain metrics. So this is a typical data monitor report. Herein I get to know that incoming messages to my data monitor to my event hub during this duration is not as expected, which means that I get to know that my client applications which are expected to send in an incoming request has not sent the expected data. So this would let me look into my client scenarios to understand what has gone wrong, why the client device is unable to contact. So scenarios like these can be uncovered using Event Hub data monitoring. Say if your requirement is to import your event hubs from the staging to production environment, similar to the import activity we did on the service bus queue, we can perform that in my event hub namespaces too. So here is my event hub production namespace, wherein I would like to import my event hub from my staging namespace. I can select my source namespace, and pick the event hubs that I need to import into my production environment. So this would take care of importing the event hub with appropriate properties, the consumer group definitions, and partition definitions. So uh, most of the development and testing effort can be saved when we use the import capability on event hubs. Scenario 4 here is an shipping application with several reactive scenarios like item ready to be shipped, item out for delivery, item shipped, shipment rejected, and so on. This is being implemented using Azure Event Grid. And here we have multiple requirements to ensure the business solution runs smooth. See, the requirements are like I would like to process the dead letter events in my event grid subscription because in the Azure portal, we do not have any capability to access or process the dead letter events in my event grid subscriptions. And moreover, I would also need an monitoring capability to monitor whenever there is an event grid, whenever there is a dead letter events in my event grid subscriptions. So as I construct my orchestration, I would have a requirement to send out certain test events to check whether my orchestration works as expected or not. So we understand all these needs and we have brought in capabilities that can address these needs in Serverless 360. So let us see in the portal how we can solve these. So I'm going to consider one of my composite applications, the shipping app staging, to demonstrate these capabilities on event grids. So here I have my event grid topic and event grid subscription, and let us see how I can process the dead letter messages in my event grid subscription. So the moment I try to hit my event grid subscription, I get my dead letter events readily available, which can be viewed. I can view the details of the events to understand what was the entity type and what was the time of this particular event, what was the subject of this. All the details of the events can be accessed right from here, and I can take actions like I can modify the event and then resubmit. Say if I want to modify the data version and then I would like to resubmit, I can do that. If I simply want to resubmit my events, that is also possible without modifying any of its content. So this capability is not available in the portal and it would be of great help to keep your business running. Say if I would like to monitor whenever there is an dead letter events in my event grid subscription, then data monitor in serverless 360 can be of help. So here is an data monitor wherein I have associated my event grid topic and subscriptions, and each of them can be monitored to understand their performance. See, there is an extensive set of metrics on which these can be monitored. Say, an topic can be monitored for the published events to be within and warning an error value. Failed events can be monitored when can detect for unmatched events, and you can predict your publish success latency. Say when it is an topic subscription, we can look for metrics like dead lettered events, which will call us for action to react or handle my dead lettered events. And this data monitor can be configured to run at specific frequency to let us know on the status of our entities. Say if my recommend is to test my event grids. So here we have an activity section which can help me in sending out test events to check whether my orchestration with the event grid topic and subscription is working as expected or not. I can create an activity to send events to my event grid topic, wherein I can specify the data of the event type, subject, and data version, and I can simulate in real-time environment by sending the events in batch with a specific think time between them, and I can send them as concurrent events with a specific count. Even this activity can be scheduled to automatically trigger events at specific intervals so that I can check whether my orchestration is working as expected or not. So this can act as a step to help us investigate whether our orchestration is working as expected. So here is scenario 5. A business solution has already dumped huge data of size more than 80 GB into my storage queue. So the requirement here is to view and resubmit these messages into various other storage queues for further processing. Challenge I face here is that there is no visibility on the storage queue messages in the Azure portal. Even the Storage Explorer supports only message enqueue and dequeue. So what I need is to view the messages, to resubmit the messages, and monitor my queue on the message count to let me react to these situations. So let us see how Serverless 360 can pitch in here. So I'll pick up the shipping app staging composite app wherein I have my storage queue associated. So the moment I associate my entities into a composite app, managing and monitoring them comes handy. And here I get to know that an approximate message count on my storage queue is calls me for action, and I would like to view and process those messages. So I can retrieve messages from the storage queue. I get the messages readily available here. I can either choose to view the message details, which was my preliminary requirement. I would like to access my message details. That is straight away possible. And I can also choose to update the message. So this way, I just modify the message content or the visibility timeout of the message and update it. This is not going to this is just going to update the message content and the visibility timeout. If my requirement is to resubmit this message to a different target so that the message can be picked up or processed by a different business flow, that is also possible. I can select a destination queue and I can choose to resubmit the message. So before resubmission, if I would like to modify certain content and then resubmit, that is also possible. I can modify the content or the visibility delay, and then I can choose to resubmit it, either to the same queue or to a different target queue. So these are certain message processing capabilities which are available only in Serverless 360 with respect to storage queue management. So now if I would like to monitor my storage queue, that is also possible. You can associate your storage queue either to a threshold monitor or to a status monitor, and monitoring them comes handy. So monitoring can be achieved on its approximate message count. You can set an warning and error threshold limit, and this monitor will let you know when this current value is violating the expected warning and threshold configuration for a specified violation duration. So this way, accessing the storage queue messages, processing them, and monitoring the storage queue for approximate message count is all possible using Serverless 360. Here is scenario 6. Say I have an highly secure logic implemented on my on-premise service. And this is exposed through an hybrid relay for my rest of my business solution to consume and operate. So the need here are, I would like to monitor my hybrid relay endpoint, and I would always want to watch that for any failure or in the response or responsiveness of the endpoint. I would like to monitor the listen account of the relay endpoint, so ensure that my recipients are active, and I would like to monitor active connections on my relay endpoint. So these are my requirements. And in serverless 360, we have capabilities to handle all of them. Even creating a hybrid relay within serverless 360 is possible. So here is my CRM Dev Composite app, wherein I have an on-premise cloud-connected relay playing a critical role in my business orchestration. Say, if I want to create this relay right from serverless 360, I can easily do that by defining its properties, or I can import a template which has been defined for a relay and quick create an relay here right from serverless 360 itself. And the moment I have created an associated entity here, and now if my requirement is to monitor this relay in different perspectives, we have various set of monitors which can help you in do that. Say if my requirement is to have an regular check on my relay properties and on every hour of the day, then I can associate that into an status monitor, and I can monitor it on its properties. I can check for the listener counts of the relay using a status monitor. I can turn on the listener count and set in warning and error threshold value, and let me give an health report at the specified time intervals. See if my requirement is slightly different, to get an alert only when the listener count is less than the specified limit for 10 minutes of time. Then I can associate the same relay to an threshold monitor, and I can define an warning and error threshold values on the listener count. The interesting point here is I can also monitor my relay endpoint for its effective working. Say I can associate a relay endpoint to a threshold or a status monitor, and I can configure the expected response and responsiveness criteria and let it be monitored within the threshold monitor. Say if I would like to detect any failure in my relay endpoint, then I can choose a watch monitor. I can associate a relay endpoint to a watch monitor, and for that matter here, it need not be a relay endpoint alone. It can be a logic app endpoint or a function endpoint, or any exposed API endpoint can be associated to a watch monitor, and you can monitor it for its response and responsiveness. So this watch monitor will let me know in case of the expected criteria not being met within the configured time limit. Say if I have set within 5 minutes, I would like to know in case of failure in this endpoint, this watch monitor can help me in notifying that. And our one more requirement was to detect errors in my relay. I can use a data monitor to monitor this relay on various perspectives. Say I can detect any client or server errors using a data monitor in the listener side or at the sender side. I can also monitor the active connections of the relay, say, and to let me know whenever the active connections is going below a certain limit, or a certain warning or threshold limit can be configured. So this way, our relay can be monitored at various perspectives using variety of monitors offered by Serverless 360, and the choice can be made based on our business need. So now over to the next scenario, the last one. See, here I have a customer who has configured their Serverless 360 account with email authentication mode. Now, to have a better experience in managing their users, he would like to switch to an Active Directory mode. So right now, Serverless 360 supports a simple email ID password, basic authentication mode, and also an allows integration with the Azure Active Directory. Now let us see how the user can switch between the authentication modes and how this can be effectively captured in the enhanced governance and audit capability of Serverless 360. When we log in with an administrator account, the switching the authentication mode becomes possible within a Serverless 360 account. So the administrator can switch their authentication mode from the existing authentication mode to the other one. Say here the administrator is an email authentication mode and I would like to switch over to Active Directory authentication mode. In the application itself, we have the necessary documentation available to help you acquire the information that is required to configure your Active Directory in Serverless 360. So here is a guide which can help us acquire your necessary information from the Azure portal. So I have collected my Active Directory details like the domain of my Active Directory that I would like to configure, the directory Active Directory ID, the application through which I would like to integrate my Azure Active Directory to Serverless 360, its ID and its client secret, and the global admin ID of the Active Directory and the global admin's user principal name. So these are the information that are required to integrate your Azure Active Directory to Serverless 360. So herein, I'm going to provide the necessary details to integrate my application with Active Directory. So this email ID can be your contact email ID. It need not be the Active Directory email ID. And herein, I would going to provide the global admin of the Azure Active Directory, the AD ID of the global admin, the domain that I would like to configure, the Active Directory tenant ID, the application that I have created in my Active Directory with necessary permissions, and the client secret of that application. That is it. On saving these details, I would be able to switch my authentication mode. So when I switch my authentication mode, the details would be captured under the governance and audit section. We have enhanced this governance and audit section to capture each and every action the users carried out within the Serverless 360 product. See, we have expanded this section to capture operations that is being carried out, the messaging operations that has been carried out on your storage queues or service bus queues and topics, event grids, everything has been captured in the governance and audit section. So as a part of this demo, we have been resubmitting messages from the storage queue in the event grid, and we have been repairing and resubmitting the messages in the storage queue. Everything has been captured in the messaging section. And the general section would have the details of the monitor creation, composite application creation, updation, all of them will be captured in the general section. So this will give an end-to-end auditing of the user actions on your entities and on the Serverless 360 account. To provide a quick summary of all the capabilities that we discussed today, We saw the composite application dual views to facilitate different users in the organization to provide a detailed view with a card view and an holistic view of all the applications at one place with a list view. We have brought in management capabilities on the monitoring capabilities on event hubs, event grids, and storage queues to let you view and process the messages in the storage queue. And view and process the events in event grids, import entities of event hubs or recent additions, and you can test your orchestrations with event hub and event grid using activities to send events, and you can switch your authentication mode from the email to the Azure Active Directory mode or vice versa. And with an improved governance and audit, you can have track of each and every action the user carries out within Serverless 360 product. So we are working towards Integrate 2019 with a very clear roadmap and lot of exciting capabilities in the list. So we are bringing in management and monitoring of Azure SQL DB, since we understand that any integration solution will be incomplete without web apps and SQL DBs. So very soon we are bringing in management and monitoring for Azure SQL DB, web apps, API management monitoring, and web jobs. And in the subsequent release, we are addressing a key challenge of managing retrying of logic apps when all errors are fixed. Say, like in the portal, you still have a challenge to identify which of the logic app runs have been resubmitted. So with the subsequent release in Serverless 360, this challenge can very easily be overcome. We are bringing in an excellent capability to help you manage the retries in your logic apps. We have already brought in certain capabilities on active message processing and service bus queues and topics, and we have a very clear roadmap to enhance them further. We will bring in PowerShell automation and improved composite application experience, and a glimpse of what that is what I just shared you as a screenshot, wherein we are going to support hierarchical composite applications, which will let huge organization group their business applications into logical entities and then manage. And the most exciting part of this Integrate 2019 is the integration of Serverless 360 with Atomic Scope. So we are bringing in end-to-end tracking within the composite application context powered by Atomic Scope. So Atomic Scope is our another product which offers end-to-end monitoring for iPaaS and hybrid integration solutions. So the end-to-end monitoring on a composite application is an ask from most of our customers and also in the community. So we have got an excellent solution which will let you track a message across all the entities in your business application within the composite application. So you can expect an excellent capability to monitor the flow of information across the entities in your composite application very soon by Integrate. So serverless nodes is our community initiative wherein you can get to access tips and tricks from the industry leaders on serverless context. So do participate here to understand and keep update to be updated on the serverless domain.